So I am only 26 years old, and I've lived in maybe like 12 different places. First place I remember living at was People's Place on Lafayette Avenue in Middletown. I think it's called like Trailbridge Townhomes now. And then we lived there for a while. I remember my sister, she was born in 2001, and we lived there for a little while after she was born, then we moved. Because her arrival is what prompted us to move, because the place wasn't big enough for 4 people. So after that, we moved to Vienna Forest. And after that, we lived there for a while. We moved to Canterbury. And we lived there for a while as well. Then after that, we moved to Carter Street. And I lived there from the start of junior high up until maybe sophomore year of high school. And then from there, we moved to a duplex on Helton. And hey, boo. And we lived there up until I was a sophomore in college. And then we moved to an apartment by Walmart, Robin Springs. We lived there for a very short time. I think we only lived there for a year. And then we moved to my granny's old house on 10th. And we just moved from there last year, and we've been here on Victoria Avenue for a year. We're about to re-sign the lease and live here for 1 more year. And then I'm moving back to Columbus. Because in between all those moves, I moved to Columbus. I've lived in Dayton. I moved to Dayton for a year in 2013 or 14. I lived there for a year. Lived on campus at various schools. Freshman year, I lived in Tiffin. Then I lived in Dayton for Wright State. And then 2016, the summer of 2016, I moved to Columbus because I was dating Joe and I wanted to be closer and live on my own. So I moved out of the house and moved to Columbus. And it was great living up there. I loved it. We're going back next spring. I'm moving back to Columbus with my baby, so we can be closer to her dad and closer to all this stuff, because living in Middletown, it's hard because this place is small. I just feel like there's not a lot of like opportunities, you know. Like I want Maddie to be into a bunch of stuff, and like Middletown it doesn't have it, you know. And I want her to be closer to her dad so she can spend a lot more time with him. And so we're moving back to Columbus next spring. But yeah, I've lived in a lot of places. I really don't want that for Maddie. So I'm going to choose carefully the place that I'm moving to, because I don't want her to have to put down like 18 different places on an application when she applies for shit. Because you know, some applications, they for some reason need to know your fucking like where you've lived for the past 7 years. I'm like, why does that even matter? But anyway, yeah.